Before it is too late, hear this. I am not speaking dramatically. I am not trying to frighten you. I am speaking from the quiet place that only time reveals. There are things you believe will always be there. There are people you assume will wait. There are chances you think will circle back. There are words you promise yourself you will say eventually. Eventually is a fragile promise. When you are younger, life feels expandable. You assume that even if you delay something important, there will be another opportunity. You believe that apologies can be postponed, that appreciation can be expressed later, that affection can be demonstrated when schedules calm down. Schedules rarely calm down. I used to tell myself that I would slow down when the pressure eased, when the project finished, when the children grew older, when finances stabilized, when responsibilities felt lighter. There is always another reason to wait. Waiting feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels practical, but delay has a cost. I learned this cost slowly, not through a single catastrophic event, but through accumulation. Small moments missed repeatedly. Small conversations avoided repeatedly. Small gestures postponed repeatedly. Individually, each delay felt harmless. Together, they created distance. Before it is too late, understand this. Distance does not appear overnight. It forms quietly. It grows in the space between intention and action. You may intend to reconnect, or you may intend to express gratitude. You may intend to repair tension. But intention without action does not protect a relationship. I once believed that the strength of a bond guaranteed its survival. I assumed that love was durable enough to withstand neglect. Love is strong. It is not indestructible. Relationships require presence, not occasional presence, consistent presence. I used to measure my commitment by effort in visible ways, providing stability, solving problems, being physically available. I thought those things were enough. They are not enough. People do not only need solutions, they need attention. They need to feel heard. They need to feel chosen deliberately, not incidentally. I remember moments when someone tried to speak, and I responded with efficiency instead of empathy. I offered answers instead of understanding. I believed I was helping. I was shortening the conversation. When you shorten conversations repeatedly, eventually, they stop. Silence replaces dialogue. Politeness replaces closeness. And by the time you notice the shift, you are already responding to distance rather than preventing it. Before it is too late, pay attention to the small signals. A shorter message, a less enthusiastic tone, a hesitation before sharing something personal. These are not dramatic warnings. They are invitations to engage more deeply. I ignored many of those invitations because I assumed there would always be another opportunity to repair. There was not. Time does not announce when patience has expired. It does not send formal notice that someone has stopped trying. It simply moves forward while people quietly adjust their expectations. One of the hardest realizations of my life was understanding that by the time someone says they feel distant, they have often been feeling that way for years. The same applies to health. The same applies to purpose. The same applies to joy. Neglect is gradual. You assume that exhaustion is temporary. You assume that dissatisfaction is a phase. You assume that your body will tolerate another year of postponement. It tolerates until it does not. Before it is too late, listen to discomfort. Discomfort is information. It signals misalignment. It signals unmet needs. It signals unresolved tension. Ignoring discomfort does not eliminate it. It delays the consequence. I spent years postponing difficult conversations because I valued short-term peace over long-term clarity. I thought silence would preserve harmony. Silence preserved nothing. It preserved confusion. Clarity requires courage. Courage requires action. You cannot repair what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot deepen what you do not nurture. You cannot protect what you assume is permanent. Before it is too late, understand that the ordinary moments you overlook are shaping the future you will inhabit. Every delayed apology, every withheld compliment, every avoided conversation, every postponed dream, they accumulate. I am not suggesting that life must be lived urgently in every second. I am suggesting that the things that truly matter deserve immediate attention. In the next part, I will tell you what finally made me understand that some windows close quietly, and what you can do now while yours are still open. The moment that finally changed me was not dramatic. There was no shouting, no final argument, no visible collapse. It was an ordinary afternoon that felt strangely unfamiliar. Someone I loved was sitting across from me, and I could feel the distance. Not anger, not hostility, just distance. The kind that develops slowly when attention is inconsistent and conversations remain shallow. That was when I understood something difficult. Relationships do not end when people leave. They begin fading when presence weakens. I had assumed there would always be time to restore closeness. I believed that if tension appeared, I could address it later. I trusted that bonds built over years would withstand neglect. They did not. What disappears first is not love. It is effort. When effort fades, connection thins. When connection thins, silence expands. And when silence expands long enough, people adjust to it. By the time you realize what has changed, you are trying to rebuild something that has already adapted to your absence. Before it is too late, understand this. Maintenance is not the same as nurturing. I maintained responsibilities. I maintained routines. I maintained appearances. But I did not consistently nurture understanding. I did not consistently nurture emotional safety. I did not consistently nurture vulnerability. Nurturing requires intention. It requires time that feels inefficient. It requires listening without agenda. It requires asking questions that do not solve problems, but deepen awareness. I avoided that inefficiency for years because I valued productivity. Productivity builds structure. It does not build intimacy. The same pattern appears in other areas of life. You assume your health will tolerate neglect because it has always recovered before. You assume your body will keep compensating for your habits. You assume that fatigue is temporary and reversible. It is until it is not. You assume your purpose will clarify itself automatically. You assume motivation will return when circumstances improve. You assume that meaningful change requires a perfect moment. Perfect moments rarely arrive. The windows that matter most do not close loudly. They close quietly while you are distracted. One day you notice that energy is lower. One day you notice that conversations are shorter. One day you notice that invitations have stopped. These are not dramatic endings. They are cumulative results. What I learned too late is that small corrections prevent large regrets. A short conversation now prevents years of misunderstanding later. A sincere apology now prevents hardened resentment later. A few minutes of honest reflection now prevents decades of misalignment later. Delay multiplies consequences. When you postpone clarity, confusion grows. When you postpone honesty, distance grows. When you postpone affection, doubt grows. Before it is too late, choose discomfort over regret. Temporary discomfort feels intense but brief. Regret feels quiet but permanent. I finally decided that silence was more damaging than awkwardness. I began initiating conversations I had avoided, not aggressively, not perfectly, simply, directly. I admitted fear. I admitted absence. I admitted that I had assumed there would always be more time. Those admissions did not erase the past, but they prevented further erosion. There is another truth that is harder to accept. Not every window can be reopened. Some seasons truly end. Some people move forward in ways that cannot be reversed. Some opportunities expire completely. That is why urgency matters while options still exist. Urgency does not mean panic. It means awareness. Awareness that today is not guaranteed to repeat itself tomorrow. Awareness that the current version of someone you love is temporary. Awareness that your present energy is a resource, not a constant. When you understand this, you begin to act differently. You express appreciation without waiting for a milestone. You make the call instead of composing the perfect message in your head. You prioritize presence over minor distractions. You stop assuming that intention alone preserves what matters. Before it is too late, shift your measure of success. Do not measure your life only by output. Measure it by depth, by honesty, by the number of moments you were fully engaged instead of partially available. Ask yourself one difficult question. If something changed tomorrow, would I be at peace with how I showed up today? If the answer is no, act while the answer can still be changed. Time does not negotiate. It moves in one direction. It does not pause for your comfort or your readiness, but it does respond to your action. Before it is too late, hear this clearly. The cost of postponement is greater than the cost of courage. Courage feels heavy for a moment. Regret feels heavy for a lifetime. Choose your weight carefully.